Hello, I'm Carmen Morris and I'm here today to talk to you about Doctor Who Sleep No More. Now this is a spoiler heavy review, so if you haven't seen the episode, I will be talking about story elements of this episode which may ruin it for you. So that being said, let's talk about the good, let's talk about the bad, the things I liked, the things I didn't. Let's review Doctor Who. So the story to this episode of Doctor Who was pretty much based around the found footage kind of storyline that has been done so many times before, and it felt kind of more like a cutscene for a video game than it did an actual episode. It was always addressing on breaking the fourth wall, very much as I'm doing right now, and I didn't like it. I gotta tell you straight off the bat, I didn't like it. I thought it was really good for some of the footage, for some of what we were seeing. There was a lot of stuff shot with a handheld camera to make it look like, you know, everything's sort of doing this, you know, in the shot. It was just to make it look like it was being filmed via, you know, somebody with a handheld camera, like you get with sort of news footage. But my problems, let's start off with some of the things that I didn't like about this footage, okay? No, the footage, this episode. Some of the things I didn't like were the sound. I thought the sound in this episode was awful, particularly at the start. It got better towards the end, but at the start I had real trouble understanding what people were saying. I actually thought I had something in my ears because everything seemed to be muffled, and you know, I guess that could just be me, but I had real problems trying to understand what people were saying, and trying to understand what was happening. So yeah, all the footage of the POV footage, I thought it was nice once and twice, to use once or twice, but if you remember the movie Doom. Don't watch it. I mean, don't. It'll ruin your life. But this really reminded me of that movie, and I don't like things reminding me of that movie because I don't like the movie. And it just felt very much like that. It felt like somebody had based it on a video game and must have thought that this was good to do a sort of a first-person shooter version of Doctor Who. This is not a good idea. Okay, there's a reason why they don't make films like this. It's because it's not a good idea. It doesn't really work. Another thing that is really starting to bug me with this Doctor Who is the fact that holograms just pop up anywhere. There's no need to have emitters now. They passed that. They've got this new technology that doesn't require a hologram to have a hologram emitter. Which I guess, you know, that would be the whole point of a hologram, is to not be able to see where it's coming from. But visually, we're dealing with a visual medium. We're dealing with an artistic interpretation on a visual medium. You need to kind of illustrate these sort of things, you know. And this was just executed badly. And I mean, not just because the hologram didn't have, you know, a hologram emitter, or, you know, these beams coming from somewhere to make the hologram, but it wasn't even camera tracked properly. Anytime they showed these this floating head hologram, man, they were using some sort of shaky cam going on, and it just wasn't tracked to the footage properly. It was just all over the place. And let's get right the way down to it, okay? So the Doctor and Clara have arrived on this space station, and all the lights are out, and there are these soldiers running around who are talking, and you can't understand them, and I couldn't understand them anyway. And there are these creatures aboard the space station that are killing people. There's only one person left, and these creatures begin attacking the soldiers. They find the last sole survivor in the Morpheus pod, and it turns out that these Morpheus pods convert people into not needing sleep. Now, initially I was wondering where this was going, because as you know, as many people know, anybody who's done sleep studies, that sleep is a vital part, and without sleep you can actually start hallucinating. Then the Doctor forms a theory about where these creatures come from. Having examined a sample of these creatures, they are made from the mucus and dust that forms in your eyes during the sleep. And because people don't sleep, it's built up and it's mutated and it's become a carnivorous life form. You know what? If it wasn't for the fact that I do this review, I would have turned the damn episode off right there. That was the crappiest thing I have ever heard ever come out of the Doctor's mouth. I have never, ever, ever heard such a bad explanation for a monster ever. This was seriously insulting everybody's intelligence. You might say, oh yeah, but this is for a younger audience, this episode. Yeah, there are 5-year-olds going, you are insulting my intelligence. This was really a crap idea. I mean, I cannot get over how shit of an idea this was. I mean, and you can argue that, oh yeah, the Morpheus pods, you know, had something to do with the mutation and stuff like that. Don't try to justify it, okay? Don't try to justify it. This was a shit idea, a shit monster, and I've got to be honest with you, even the design of the creature was bad. It looked like the shit demon from Dogma and Thing from Fantastic Four had a baby. It was awful. That coupled with the fact that the footage that they shot for the episode always broke the fourth wall, it felt really amateurish. I've got to say, and that's no, I'm going to take that back. I have seen amateur Doctor Who fan films that were shot better than this and had a better story. Okay, if you're gonna do a Doctor Who episode, at least don't insult the audience's intelligence. Okay, it's just such a bad idea, and you know the story keeps going, and I'm just going to cut to the end of this episode because I've got to tell you right now, this story, I really had lost total interest. The second that the explanation of those creatures come out, I'd lost total interest in this episode. So the Professor Rasmussen, turns out he's the mad scientist behind it, because it's a mad scientist story. That's what this is. This is a mad scientist story. They've put a lot of stuff into this episode that they paid people to make this episode. You know, and like I said, I will never knock the people acting in this episode. That's the script that they were given. I won't knock the production designs for the sets and so on and so forth, because they look good. I won't knock even the people who done the shit men outfits, because they got approved. Somebody rubber stamped that and said that's good for camera. It was just it was like every single bad decision piled up on top of itself. It's just, this is not how you do it. This is just not, and this show deserves more respect from the people who are making it than this. And it's, if I'm gonna be honest, Doctor Who is in real trouble right now. It is in real trouble, and I've actually gone in and done a bit of research, and what my research has turned up is that not only are most of these episodes, the further into the Moffat era we go in, the lower the ratings are, but the viewing figures are getting lower and lower as well. And Stephen Moffat has come out before now and tried to justify them and say, nah, yes, but people are watching these on catch up and stuff like that, and so it does work out the same. Yeah, bollocks, okay? Rubbish. I'm not even going to hold back anymore. You're talking out of your arse. Okay, the viewing figures for Doctor Who this series so far averages between 3.9 and 4.2 million people. Now, the highest rated episode of Doctor Who, which is Tom Baker, City of Death, was 14.5 million. Okay? Now, yeah, okay, we can argue that was a classic era of Doctor Who, that fewer people had cable or satellite, and therefore more people were inclined to watch Doctor Who. But even the worst episodes of the classic series, and by far, for me, the worst episode of the classic series will always be Paradise Towers. I think it's a terrible episode. Even so, that had a higher viewing figure than the current regime of Doctor Who. This show is in serious trouble. They are throwing money at this show, and they spend, I think the budget for Doctor Who every year is about, at this moment in time, is about £16 million. Okay? £16 million for 12 episodes. Thereabouts. I want my money back. I am a lifelong Doctor Who fan that has watched every episode of Doctor Who that you can never possibly get. I have all the ones that you can get on DVD. I own. I will not be buying this. Not ever. I'm sorry, but I'm not. And you know, if you're going to try to justify the viewing figures with oh yeah, people watch on catch up, you think Game of Thrones thinks that? You think any other TV show thinks, well, we look at our viewing figures, but we'll wait to see what happens with catch-up TV? No, they don't, okay? If you want to grab an audience, you need to grab an audience on the day that you air the episode. That is what you want. That's how you know you've got a successful show. If people are watching your show on catch-up, it means that they aren't bothered about missing the damn thing. And by the way, if you check out the ratings as well for these episodes, they have dropped dramatically. Now, the highest rated episode of Doctor Who is Blink. Okay, it is. Okay, it's got a 9.8 rating. 9.8 means that it is the highest rated movie of all time on IMDb is The Shawshank Redemption. That's at 9.3. Blink is at 9.8. That gives you some idea of the fall from grace that Doctor Who has had when some of its episodes were higher rated than some of the greatest movies ever made. Lawrence of Arabia has a 9.1 rating. Okay, so and if you look down the rating, you can see that the further into the Moffat era we get, I think the average rating now for a Doctor Who episode falls somewhere between a 7.2 and a 6.9. Okay, if I'm going to rate this episode for this week, the episode, I'm going to give it a 4, because at least they filmed it, and that's the only rating I can give this episode. And I'm giving it a 4. I'm giving it a point for production, for the sets. I'm giving it a point for the actors actually turning up and actually being bothered to do it. I'll give it a point for an attempt at some visual effects, and I'll give it a point for it actually trying to do a story that was slightly different than what they normally do. But the rest of it gets thrown in the bin along with this episode. This is trash TV at its worst. And I'm sorry, I don't like to say it, because I'm a passionate fan of Doctor Who, and I have been for a long time. But unless they pull some serious shit out, you can bet that these viewing figures are going to continue to fall, and Doctor Who will be off the air. I don't like to say it, but there it is. Anyway, that's my review of Doctor Who. Let me know what you thought of this episode. My God, I can't believe I'm even asking people's opinion. But there we are. No, I got to. I really am curious as to what you think of this episode. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, feel free to leave your comments below. You can like and comment on this video, or go over and join me on Google+. But until next time, I'll see you later, guys.